Most first-time Norwegian Cruise Line passengers make the same mistakes. So I'm going to give you some tips to avoid all these. Let's talk about it. One of the biggest opportunities on Norwegian Cruise Line is something called CruiseNext. But you can only purchase this on board, and some first-time cruisers don't realize this. So let's break this down. If you plan correctly, you can use CruiseNext deposits to unlock immediate onboard credit during that same sailing. The more cruise credits you buy, the more onboard credit you have, which means people who understand the system are essentially getting free money to use on that very sailing. And most first-time cruisers miss this part completely. Now let's talk about something that looks very exciting, but can be very misleading. Upgrade bidding. You'll get an email before your sailing offering you this amazing chance to bid on a better cabin. It sounds great, doesn't it? But here's the reality most people don't realize. You have no control over where that upgraded cabin is going to be. So before you bid, you need to understand this is not a guaranteed upgrade to a better experience. It's a lottery. Now, if you want to get the absolute most out of your first day on board, then timing matters, and priority boarding lets you do this. But here's what most people don't understand. Because the earlier you board, the earlier you can book your specialty dining, reserve your shows, explore the ship without crowds, and yes, it actually changes how your entire cruise feels. Now let's talk about something that a lot of people don't realize they have to do even before boarding day. You have to download your NCL Cruise app. This is where your boarding passes are going to live, and also you have to be aware that online check-in opens 21 days prior to your sailing. This is important because this is how you get the early boarding times. If you're not going to purchase priority boarding, this is your second best way to get an early boarding time. Now, this is what sets NCL apart from other cruise lines, in my opinion. They have what's called freestyle cruising. So what this means is there are no dress codes for the specialty dining restaurants, and also there are no set times for the main dining room. And this is really something that I feel that Norwegian does very well compared to other cruise lines. But here's the catch. Flexible dining doesn't mean better experience unless you know how to plan it correctly. So here's my tip. Go to the main dining room an hour before or an hour after peak dining times to have the best experience. Now let's talk about something that excites people but also sometimes confuses people when it comes to Norwegian Cruise Line's food. On every ship, you will have a 24-hour pub and eatery. Depending on the ship class, it will be either Oceans or the local. This is somewhere you can go and grab pub-style food and drinks late at night. Also, there's going to be 2 to 3 main dining rooms that serve sit-down 3-course meals nightly. And also there's going to be a buffet, which is a staple on most cruise lines, and you can go there for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. But let's talk about an included option that most first-time cruisers on NCL walk right past because they assume that it is not included. This is Indulge Food Hall. This is an area, it has like mini restaurants. You can sit down at a booth. It looks like an old school diner, and you can order your food from an iPad and they bring it right to you. It has everything from Indian to Latin and to Texas barbecue. This is an included option, and a lot of first-time cruisers overlook this. Now I'm going to tell you about that hidden fee I hinted at earlier that you probably don't even know exists. So let's talk about it. Specialty dining. This is a really important tip that you need to know when sailing on Norwegian Cruise Line. The booking window for your specialty dining restaurants opens at 120 days prior to your sailing, but here's the catch. If you don't get the time of the restaurant that you want, they only open a limited amount prior to the sailing. So if you don't get your time or your restaurant, once you get on board, this needs to be the first thing you do. Go and change your specialty restaurant dining reservations. But here's the hidden fee that you need to know about. Norwegian Cruise Line has recently introduced a no-show fee. So what this is if you make specialty dining restaurant reservations and you do not show up for your allotted time, you will be charged $15 per person to your cruise card. This is a tip that you really need to know about because it is catching some people off guard. Now we're going to talk about something that I hinted at earlier that can completely change your whole cruise experience. It is your cabin placement. Most first-time cruisers go for price alone, and that is the completely wrong way to choose your cabin. Focusing on the price of your cabin is the wrong way to book a cabin on Norwegian Cruise Line. You want to make sure that you have cabins above and below you for noise buffering. If you're prone to seasickness, you want to make sure that you have a cabin midship, lower decks. You want to make sure you're away from the elevator so you have less hallway noise. And you also want to make sure you're not directly below the pool deck or the buffet. These areas can get very loud in the early morning and late at night. Now here's a pro tip that I picked up through my multiple sailings. It is the air conditioning key card trick. In your cabin, the lights and air conditioning are often tied to the room card key slot. A lot of cruisers use a spare card or an old loyalty card to keep the system running. So when you come back from a hot port day, your room is actually cool. Now we're going to talk about some of the areas on Norwegian Cruise Line ships that are not free. They are an actual paid experience. So let's break this down. On some ships, you'll see something called Vibe Beach Club. This is a paid adult-only area with loungers, hot tubs, and a private bar. It's quiet, premium, and less crowded, but it's not included. So you have to decide if this added privacy is worth the added price tag. Another tip that you really need to know, and a lot of people aren't talking about it, is Great Stirrup Cay is getting a renovation done and they're going to have a new water park. But here's the tip. Their brand new water park is not going to be included in the cruise fare. So if you're planning on going to this new water park, it's going to cost you $90 a person to experience this. And also, here's the catch. Your $50 shore excursion credit, if you have a promotion through NCL, is not going to be valid towards the water park. So this is something you really need to know, especially if you have kids and you're planning on going to Great Stirrup Cay's new Great Tides water park. Now here's one of the most underrated tips I can give you. If you own 100 shares of NCL stock, you get $100 of onboard credit for every single cruise you go on in the future. So if you're looking for more ways to get onboard credit, this is definitely something to check out. If you've never sailed on Norwegian Cruise Line, check out my video here on NCL Prima. And also let me know in the comments any tips that you've found from sailing with Norwegian Cruise Line. I'm Ashley Neal. I'll see you next time.